सेकंड डिले चलते हैं वहाँ पे। लाइव है सर आप
Okay.
लाइव हो।
Hello dear friends, welcome to GATE Academy Global. So before starting today's session, I would like to take the feedback or the concurrence regarding the quality of video as well as audio. If it is perfect, just write perfect over the live chat. So at least I'll have the fair idea that the each and everything is properly communicated to all of us. So would you like to have the feedback or the concurrence from each one of you regarding the quality of audio as well as video? Now the next thing, I would request to each one of you, you can share the link of this video over the different Telegram channels or Telegram groups which we are having. So definitely the student who are willing to attend my engineering mathematics classes would also be parting this also. Agreed? So in the same sequence, let me move ahead, and the agenda behind today's video has been very precise and clear. We are going to take around 5 to 6 number of problems which have come in different years of the GATE examinations, and the problems are almost related to the basic part of the engineering mathematics. Probably 1 or 2 questions are going to be dealt as a the second type of the questions which we will be seeing over here, there we would be discussing about the tangent. The third kind of the problem which we would be taking, and that is nothing but a type of rectangular hyperbola. So more or less the basic properties or the basic portions of the engineering mathematics which we have been dealt so far, we are going to take few number of problems based on those concepts. Okay, so without getting delayed, let me write the agenda behind today's question or today's video. We are going to take around 6 number of questions. Obviously all of this number of questions have appeared in previous year GATE examination, and those questions are coming from very basic part of the engineering mathematics. Agreed? So just wanted to ask from each one of you regarding the quality of video as well as audio. If it is perfect, just write perfect over the live chat. So at least I'll have the proper idea. Manju, good sir. Okay. So without getting delayed, let me straight away hop into the question itself. Just a minute. So here goes the question. The first question have come in GATE year of 2010. The problem was framed by IIT Guwahati, and this problem has appeared in production engineering. Let me see what the problem specifically states. If f of x is being sine of mod of x, then the value of df by of dx at x is equals to of minus pi by 4 is. There are the 4 different options who are attached along with this problem. The first option goes as 0, the second goes 1 upon root 2, third goes 1 upon root 2 with a minus sign, and the last one is 1. So tell me what would be the best most answer for this particular problem. And this problem have come in GATE year of 2010. The question was framed by IIT Guwahati, and yes, the branch was production engineering. Tell me what would be the best most answer for this given problem. For the better understanding what I am going to do over here, let me take this problem towards the working board and we'll try to smash that problem there itself. Here goes the problem. Just a minute, it may take a bit time. Just a minute. Here it had been the first question. Let me bring this problem towards working board. Yes, this has been the first question of the day. Tell me what would be the best most answer for this given problem. So far I did not get any of the response, but I would expect this problem could have been solved maximum within 60 seconds. You had to get the differentiation of sine of mod of x precisely at x is equals to of minus pi by 4. Tell me what would be the best most answer for this given problem. And yes, it has been a type of MCQ. That means out of 4 number of options, only 1 option is going on to be correct one. Tell me. The 5 number of students are live, but still I did not get any of the response. Such a easiest frame of the problem it is. Let me focus over the function itself. The function had been a type of modulus or the absolute function of x which has been applied over the sinusoids. This has been f of x, f of x. May I know where the differentiation has to be carried out? The differentiation has to be carried out for the negative value of x, where the x has been minus pi by 4. So as far as this absolute function sine of mod of x is concerned, would have the two different behaviors for the positive value of x as well as the negative value of x. Why so? Because as far as the modulo of x is being concerned, the mod of x is being defined as a minus of x for the all possible negative value of x, and similarly is being defined as a plus of x for all possible positive value of x. So obviously what would be my approach? I would try to remove this modular function and would try to write in the core form of the function. So f of x could be simply written as sine of minus of x, where the sine of minus of theta becomes minus of sine theta, so simply it becomes minus of sine of x when the x is less than 0. And similarly, if you take when the x has been positive, mod of x is being taken as sine of x itself, so here it goes sine of x for x greater than 0. And once you will feed x is equals to 0 over the first function as well as second function, both are going to give the value as 0. So obviously the function would be continuous at x is equals to 0. So rather having the sign of lesser than and greater than, I can have lesser than equals to as well as greater than equals to. Could you understand what I am saying? Could you understand what I am saying? So only one answer I have got it so far from Manju, and the answer had been C. We'll check that. Could you understand till this point? May I know where the differentiation has to be carried out? The differentiation has to be carried out towards the negative value of x. So will you choose this function for the differentiation, or will you choose this function for the differentiation? This function would be chosen when the differentiation has to be carried out over the function when the value of x has been positive, otherwise the first function. So obviously you would choose minus of sine x for the differentiation. So what I am saying, the differentiation of your function when x is lesser than 0 would be equals to of d by of dx. Which function has to be chosen? Obviously minus of sine of x is being chosen, and once the differentiation is done, you can feed the value of x over here. You can feed the value of x over here, and yes, the value of x had been precisely minus of pi by 4, which had been lower than 0. Here also, end of the day, we are going to feed x is equals to of minus pi by 4, minus pi by 4. So once we take its differentiation, anyways, we can go to this point. Once we take its differentiation, the minus sign would remain minus sign, the differentiation of sine of x would become cos of x. So the result what we are getting over here is simply going to be minus of cos of x, and here I would be feeding x is equals to of minus pi by 4, minus pi by 4. End of the day, what we are going to do over here, the x would be fed as a minus pi by 4, and as we know, the cos of minus of theta is simply equals to of cos of theta. So end of the day, you are going to lead the result in a form of minus of cos within the bracket minus of pi by 4 could have been simply written as pi by 4 itself. Pi by 4 itself. May I know what used to be the worth of cos of pi by 4? Obviously it used to be 1 upon root 2. The minus is coming along with 1 upon root 2. So the best most answer what we are getting is simply going to be minus 1 upon root 2. Minus 1 upon root 2. So only one perfect answer I have got it so far, and that has been the perfect most answer, and that has been option C. If you want to learn this problem with the help of graphical method, even you can approach this problem with the help of graphical method also. For that, what I am going to do at very beginning, we are going to take a xy plane. Here goes the vertical axis y, here goes the horizontal axis x, y. We are going to take the reference of sine of mod of x. So one thing is quite sure, the maximum magnitude which will prevail is nothing but the 1, and similarly the minimum magnitude which will prevail is nothing but the minus of 1, minus of 1. So what I am going to do over here, let me take a box over here, that has been a box like this. Just a minute. Let me copy this out. Similarly, you would be having that block towards left hand side also. Just a minute. So what I am going to do over here, I am going to deal the same problem over the graphical domain. Anyways, forget about sine of mod of x, just focus over the sine of x first. May you know how the sine of x curve looks like? For the better understanding, what I did, I have taken the x-axis which has been dedicated towards the radians. Like here it became 0 radian, here it is pi by 2 radian, here it is pi radian, here it is 3 pi by 2 radian. Similarly, towards left hand side it becomes minus of pi by 2 radian, then it goes minus of pi radian, and here it goes minus of 3 pi by 2 radian. So as far as the sinusoidal curve is concerned, at x is equals to 0, the worth would be 0. At pi by 2, the worth is going to be plus 1. Similarly, at minus pi by 2, the worth is going to be minus 1. At minus pi, the worth is going to be 0. So put together, if you would like to draw the curve, how the curve would look like? The curve is going to look like something this. The curve is going to look like something this. Yes. Could you understand what I am saying? But this has been the curve for, sine of x. Sine of x. But you intended to draw the sine of mod of x. How the sine of mod x has been defined? The sine of mod of x has been as sine of x for all possible positive value of x. That means the sine of mod of x would be following over the sine of x itself for the positive value of x, or you can say in this as well as this block. But once you go towards left hand side, the sine of x would be changed to minus of sine of x. What does that mean of it? That means this complete lobe would get multiplied with a minus sign. So it was a lower lobed, it would become upper lobed, and similarly it was upper lobed would be changed to the lower lobed. So how the curve would look like exactly? So the curve is going to be something sort of this. If you want, you can complete this also. Till this point, probably each and everything must be clear to all of us. This pinkish curve, no, it has been the curve of sine of mod of x. Sine of mod of x. And what they have been asking? They have been asking to get the differentiation at x is equals to of minus pi by 4. May I know where the x is equals to of minus pi by 4 would be belonging? Obviously, it would be somewhere in between 0 to minus pi by 2. Let's take this has been the location of minus pi by 4, and once you'll draw the tangent and if you'll calculate its slope, would it be positive or would it be negative? Obviously it would be negative, because as the value of x is increasing, the value of y is decreasing, and that is why the worth of this slope had been negative somewhere at minus 1 divided by root 2. Minus 1 divided by root 2. Could you understand what I am saying? So I would expect from each one of you, whenever you used to solve any basic problem related to the engineering mathematics, first try to solve that problem over the mathematical domain. Once you are done with the mathematical domain, definitely you should bring that problem over the graphical domain, because until and unless you are not very much connected with the graphical understanding of any sort of problem which are based on the concept of the basic engineering mathematics, probably you are not going to learn the engineering mathematics, and end of the day, if you are not able to learn the engineering mathematics, you are not going to do well in your core subject as well as GATE examination. Okay, so I would expect from each one of you, 9 students have been live, but nobody have given the proper answer except the Manju. I would request to each one of you, whether the answer which you are putting over the live chat has been wrong or right, is still try your effort to 100%. So I would be able to understand which are the different points where you guys are stuck in. Because once you will be giving the answer, no, I would be able to analyze that what had been your thought process, because of that you did mistake. So I would try to rectify that doubt itself. So this portion is clear. You had a function sine of mod of x and you wanted to have its differentiation at x is equals to of minus by 4. Many of the students would have different types of thought process, and many of the students even may not be able to solve this problem out. So sine of mod of x is being defined as a minus of sine of x for all possible negative value of x. Obviously x has been a negative value. End of the day, minus of sine of x has to be differentiated, and end of the day the x has to be fed as a minus pi by 4. So the result had been minus 1 divided by root 2. Minus 1 divided by root 2. Yes, till this point, each and everything must be clear to all of us. Now, I would like to ask from each one of you, would you like to see how the sine of mod of x looks like over the 2D plotter? For that, what I am going to do over here, let me go back and let me screencast my mobile. So you guys would be able to have the better feeling. Just a minute. Just a minute. If it is able to connect, I would be trying to show how the sign of mod of x is looking like. The way which we have drawn, whether we are getting the same curve or it has been something different. So the session ID had been, just a minute, 374580. Yes. So let me go back to the 2D plotter. Many of the students used to have doubts, sir, which 2D plotter we are using. Obviously, we are using Desmos. We have come to Desmos. And the function which we have to choose over here has been, anyways, let me change the background. Let me reverse it, background to black. So we had to draw the curve, and the curve had been sine of mod of x. Mod of x, just a minute, mod of x. Sine of mod of x. Yes, and here getting closed bracket. Agreed what I am saying? See how the curve is looking like. Whether the curve is very same or not, which we were supposed to. Yes. As far as the sine of mod of x is concerned, the sine of mod of x had been very same as sine of x for all positive value of x. Whereas at x is equals to of 0 minus onwards, what had happened? The complete curve, which was sine of mod of x, just a minute, which was sine of mod of x, was changed to minus of sine of x. Otherwise, this curve would have been prevalent in this way, but now got multiplied with the minus 1 and it went towards the upside, And definitely it has been 0 radian, it has been minus of pi radian. Keep in mind, it has been minus of pi by 2 radian. It has been minus of pi by 2 radian. So minus pi by 4 would come somewhere here, and once you'll calculate the slope over somewhere this point, this has been minus of pi by 2 radian, this has been 0 radian, this has been minus of pi radian. So you are going to take the slope somewhere here, the slope has to be minus. So till this point, each and everything must be clear to all of us. Agreeing? So I would request to each one of you, if you guys are able to understand what has happened graphically, you must say, okay sir, okay sir. So I'll have the fair idea that you are going to digest the concept with the help of graphical method also. Anyways, let me come back to the next question. Just a minute. Let me come back to the next question. Here goes the next question. That has been the second question. The problem has appeared in GATE Mining Engineering. Year of 2017, the problem was framed by IIT Roorkee. The 4 different options we have, and obviously out of 4 different number of options, you had to choose only one appropriate most answer. What the problem states, which of the following plot represents the relationship between xy is equals to c, which c is positive constant. The 4 different curves were given. It has been a straight line, it has been a what? Absolute function, it has been a rectangular hyperbola, and it has been a rectangular hyperbola. May I know this particular function would lead which type of graphical curve? So I would give around 1 minute to get the best most answer for this given problem. Tell me what would be the best most answer for this given problem. Tell me what would be the best most answer for this given problem. What would be the best most answer for this given problem? What would be the best most answer for this given problem? I want the response over the live chat. So at least I'll have the fair idea that how far you guys are able to digest the concept which has been communicated over the period of time. Tell me what would be the best most answer. I want the response from each one of you. Total 7 number of students have been live. At least 3 or 4 number of responses I want over this problem. Tell me what would be the best most answer. So the answer have started coming. Sir, answer is C. And Trishna Kabde is saying the answer is 3. Okay, we'll try to analyze this problem into the 2 to 3 different modes or bases. See what had happened. I exactly do not know how the xy is equals to of C would look like. If you do not know anything, how will you solve this problem? If you know the xy is equals to of a positive constant C, one thing is quite sure, the xy has to be positive or negative together. That is for sure. Why? Because their multiplication has to be held as a positive constant. May I know which are the different quadrant where the value of x and y would become positive and negative together? Would become positive and negative together. Obviously, it would be in first as well as third quadrant. In first quadrant, the value of abscissa and ordinate both had been positive, and in third quadrant, the value of abscissa as well as ordinate both had been negative. Once you multiply them together, definitely the result would always be positive. So, option A could have been the appropriate answer. I am not saying this is the appropriate answer, but yes, A could be taken under the consideration. Again, further investigation is required with the option A. But obviously B can't be the answer at all. Why? Because the part of the curve has been belonging into the second quadrant where the value of x is negative, where the value of y is positive, and once you multiply them together, the value of C would become negative, which is not at all possible, at least for the frame of the problem which has been designed. Similarly, in the same sequence, let me move in the third option. May I know, could it be the answer? Could it be the answer? Obviously, the curve had been belonging in the first as well as third option, or third quadrant could be the one possible answer. But again, the fourth option had to be ruled out because the curve had been belonging into the second as well as fourth quadrant where the value of x into y would always be negative and the C had been a positive constant. So may I know, out of four different options, which are the different options has been ruled out? Obviously, the options which has been ruled out had been option B as well as option D. So you have been left out with the option A as well as option C. Anyways, if you will be discussing about the equation of the straight line, there are several ways through which the equation of the straight line can be represented, which starts from y is equals to mx plus c, which starts from y minus of y1 divided by of y2 minus of y1 is equals to of x minus of x1 divided by of x2 minus of x1. Or ax plus of by plus of c is equals to 0. Obviously, this equation is never coming in that range. So obviously, when the straight line has been ruled out, so you have been left out with only and only option C, which had been rectangular hyperbola, So what I would be doing over here, let me bring this problem towards working board and we'll try to understand this complete concept even graphically also. Just a minute. Let me take this problem over the working board and we'll try to analyze that problem over the working board. So here comes the problem. This has been the second question. So what I wanted to communicate, it has been precisely given the multiplication of independent and dependent variable would always be a positive constant value. That means the curve would belong only and only in first and third quadrant. So which are the options has been ruled out? Obviously, the option B has been ruled out and similarly option D has been ruled out. So we can write the next important outcome. Option B and D has been ruled out. Has been ruled out. Option B as well as option D has been ruled out. Yes. Now, if you would be recalling the equation of the straight line, there are several ways through which the equation of a straight line which has been placed over the xy plane can be written. What are they? They could have been y is equals to of mx plus c, even y minus of y1 divided by of y2 minus of y1 is equals to of x minus of x1 divided by of x2 minus of x1. Obviously, you yourself would be able to understand the xy is equals to of c obviously is not falling in either of the category. So even the option A has also been ruled out. If you want, we can write somewhere here. Even the option A is also ruled out. If the further investigation is required, you can write x into y is equals to of c is gonna be a rectangular hyperbola. How? Let me explain into the next page. For the time being, what I did, I took a situation where the multiplication between the independent and the dependent variable had been, let's take plus, it has been chosen as plus 1 for the sake of simplicity. See what is happening over here. So may I know what would be the worth of y over here? The y is simply gonna be inverse of x, inverse of x. The y had been inverse of x. And if you are interested to draw how it would look like over the xy plane, let me take a xy plane over here. Here goes the vertical axis, here goes the horizontal axis, x and y. One thing is quite sure, if the value of x goes towards a very large positive value, let's take it's a plus infinity, the value of y would become 0. And similarly, as the value of x goes towards very large negative value, again it becomes 1 divided by minus infinity, the value would become 0. That's first thing. And whenever the value of x is negative, by default the value of y is going to be negative. Whenever the value of x is positive, the value of y is going to be positive. That is also so. And as the value of x would increase, no, or if I say the magnitude of x would increase, the magnitude of y would decrease. And as the magnitude of x would decrease, the value of y would increase. So if you are going in this direction, obviously the magnitude of x is increasing, the magnitude of y has to decrease because they have been proportionally connected. And similarly, as the value of magnitude of the x is increasing, the magnitude of y has to decrease, y has to be decreased. That is for sure. Even in the same sequence, let me write few more important points. What is happening over here? You had the function 1 upon x. If you feed limit x tends to 0, you wanted to know the behavior of 1 upon x, how it would be precisely at x is equal to 0. So what is happening over here? Once you will be feeding 0 minus, obviously 1 upon 0 minus would become minus infinity. And similarly, once you will take the reference of 1 upon 0 plus, the result would become plus infinity. That means the limit do not exist at x is equals to of 0. So what we are going to do over here? Rather writing as limit x tends to 0, I would be calculating towards the positive 0 and similarly towards the negative 0, So here it goes 0 minus. So end of the day, the result what we are getting out of this is simply going to be 1 upon of 0 plus, which has been plus infinity, and here it's going to be 1 upon 0 minus, the worth had been minus of infinity. Till this point, each and everything must be clear to all of us. See what is happening over here. So obviously, if you'll go or if you'll take the reference of y-axis where the value of x becomes 0, if you go typically just towards right hand side of the y-axis, the value of x would become 0 plus, and typically if you'll go very small towards the left hand side, definitely the value of x would become 0 minus. So may I know at 0 plus what would be the worth over here? 0 plus, the magnitude of y has to be plus infinity, it has to keep decrease, and similarly end of the day the result what you are having, let me change the color. The structure is sort of this. Which type of curve it is, or which type of curve it has been? Obviously, it is a type of rectangle. You can say somewhere here the vertex of the rectangle has been formed, but it's not the actual rectangle. No? It's called hyperbola. It's called hyperbola, but the rectangular feature in nature, which has got a sort of vertices at this point. May I know which curve it was? The green curve which we have drew, no, it was the curve of x into y is equals to 1, or in short you can write x into y is equals to c. X into y is equals to c. Just a minute, let me see how many of us could, sir E के लिए EMFT आएगा क्या for ESC? We'll see that. Similarly, if you had the different pattern of the problem, may I know what could be the different pattern of the problem? The multiplication between the independent and dependent variable had been the positive value. Let's take, I have taken another situation where its multiplication had been the negative value. So what's the impact you would be having? Obviously this complete curve would be dragged towards downside, and this complete curve would be dragged towards upside, or you can simply say it would be the folding, taking the reference of x-axis with an angle of 180 degree. So once you'll flip this out, this complete curve would go towards this side and it would go towards this side. So if you want, we can redraw this curve. The curve would be sort of this. This would be the curve. May I know which curve it is? The bluish curve had been the curve for multiplication between the independent and dependent variable has to be a negative constant value. Even you can take an example. Let's take x into y had been minus of 1. Till this point, each and everything must be clear to all of us. Agreed? So in the same sequence, what we are going to do over here, let me try to draw how it would look like over the 2D graph. For that, what I had to do, I had to go back, and I had to go back towards the new line casting. Just a minute. So here goes screen sharing. So here the session ID had been 7025. Let me connect it. So let me go back to Desmos. The earlier curve which we have drawn had been sin of mod of x. Let me remove it completely. And let me make a new curve, and that has been 1 divided by of x. 1 divided by of x. Where the division would come, yeah, 1 divided by of x. You yourself would be able to see we have got exactly the same curve which we were expected to get. Yes, the curve would be a type of hyperbola, rectangular hyperbola, and obviously would prevail in first as well as third quadrant. May I know what was the function? The function was 1 upon x. Even if you change this function from 1 upon x to 2 upon x, there would not be any change. There would not be any change much. But that's different story together. The growth would increase a bit. The rate of growth would increase a bit. But once you change its sign, no. Instead the 2, if you have wrote this as minus of 1, the everything is going to be reversed. The everything is going to be reversed. Could you understand what exactly I wanted to say? Yes. The everything I have got reversed. Initially it was in first as well as third quadrant, got changed to the second as well as fourth quadrant. So may I know till this point each and everything is clear? If it is clear, just write clear over the live chat. So at least I have the fair idea that you guys are able to digest all of the important concepts which has been taught, at least to you guys. So let me go back to the working board, and similarly let me go back to the question of mathematics. Tell me, so why it is called as rectangular hyperbola? Could you understand, Manju? Because it has a sort of, you can see yourself, no? It is making a sort of the sides of the rectangle. You can say it has been a one side, it has been another side, and you can approximate this as a vertex of this side. That is why it's called rectangular hyperbola. That is why it's called rectangular hyperbola. Anyways, in the same sequence, let me move forward and have come to the next question. I can't say this would be a type of tough problem, but still few of the patience has to be kept in. What the problem has states, and similarly where the problem has been appeared. The problem has been appeared in GATE Chemical Engineering year of 2018. The problem was framed by IIT Guwahati. What the problem states, the figure which represents y had been the ratio of sin of x divided by of x for x greater than 0, where the x has been written in radians, is the 4 different curves has been attached along with this problem. Tell me what would be the best most answer for this given problem. What would be the best most answer for this given problem? One thing is quite sure, this function has been true, or this function has been valid, or this function has been analyzed only for the positive values of x. That is why once you'll see in option A, B, C and D, the curve has not at all been present towards the negative value of x or towards the second as well as third quadrant. No, it has not been. It has not been. Tell me what would be the best most answer for this given problem? What would be the best most answer for this given problem? I would like to ask from each one of you. What could be the best most answer for this given problem? Tell me, what would be the best most answer for this given problem? This problem should not take more than probably 60 seconds to get smashed. So I'm just giving the 60 seconds to all of you to get the precise most answer for this given problem. And nobody should get confused. This is not your x-axis, no? This is not your y is equals to 0 axis. This has been your x-axis, which has been y is equals to 0 axis everywhere in option A, B, C as well as D. Because many of the students may have little bit doubt, sir, how this curve can be shifted towards upside. No, my dear friends, this curve had the DC component as 0, or you can say the upper lobe and lower lobe had the same magnitude but opposite polarity. Tell me what would be the best most answer for this given problem? What would be the best most answer for this given problem? This sort of problem is already being dealt. B or D? No. You should not say in this way. May I know what exactly answer you would be having? Just a minute. probably the options is not clearly visible. Now you can see whether B or whether D, whether B or whether D, whether B or whether D. Tell me, what would be the best most answer? See what is happening over here. Let me solve this problem over here itself. The function what you had known that had been sin of x getting divided with x, and the analysis has to be done for x greater than 0, x greater than 0. So let me start with the x is equals to 0 itself, or 0 plus. May I know what would be the value of this sinc function at x is equals to 0 plus? There are several ways we can calculate this value of limit. Either we can use the L'Hospital rule, either we can use the series expansion method. Why we can use the L'Hospital rule? The L'Hospital rule can be used at any indeterminate case where it is being followed in the range of 0 by 0 and infinity by infinity. So once you feed x is equals to 0 plus, you get the numerator as 0 and denominator as 0. Obviously it has been the case of 0 by 0. This problem could have been smashed with the help of L'Hospital rule. How do we apply the L'Hospital rule? We used to take the differentiation of numerator as well as denominator. Once we take the differentiation of numerator, the result had been cos of x, and once we take the differentiation of denominator, the result had been only 1. End of the day, what we are going to do, the limit was ranging towards 0 plus, now has to be straight away fed into the numerator as well as denominator, provided again 0 by 0 and infinity by infinity case should not be raised, has not been. So simply the result had been 1. What it indicates? It indicates sin x divided by of x just after x, or I can say at x is equals to 0 plus, should start from magnitude as 1. Obviously, B had been starting from 1, D had been starting from 1, C was raising towards infinity, the C has to be ruled out. So from at least this conclusion, the C has been ruled out. That is quite sure. Now, let me take the next conclusion or next analysis. What it had been, just try to understand. As far as the sin of x divided by of x is concerned, as you will be keep moving towards a higher value of x, sin of x would be keep oscillating in between -1 to 1. Obviously, at x is equals to 0 pi, it's going to be 0. At pi, it's going to be again 0. At 3 pi by 2, it would be -1. At 2 pi, it would become 0. And at 5 pi by 2, it would become +1. It would be keep oscillating in between -1 to +1. That means how long or how far you are keep going towards the higher value of x, sin of x would not increase its magnitude. It would be keep oscillating. But as far as its denominator is concerned, no. As the value of x is increasing, obviously for the positive sense of x, it would be keep increasing. So the denominator is going to be more and more heavier, whereas the numerator had been keep oscillating in between -1 to 1. So what is happening over here? You can say it has been the spatial condition where the numerator had been oscillating in between -1 to 1, and whereas the x has been keep increasing, and as the value of x is keep increasing, there would be the oscillation, but that type of oscillation would be damping in nature. It has to suppress down. May I know what are the different options you can see where the oscillation is keep damping? No, here the oscillation is not at all damping, it has been sustained oscillatory. So the options which has been left out had been either the option B or the option D. May I know what would be the best most answer within the option B and D? They have designed this problem very properly, because I know still many of the students would have doubt the B must be the best most answer or the C must be the best most answer. Here the A has also been ruled out. Tell me, so probably till this moment of point, all of us could have got the exact answer for this. D or B? Manju, I want the perfect answer. Whether the answer would be D or whether the answer would be B. I want the precise most answer. Anyways, let me move forward. If we will be discussing about sin of x divided by of x, the value of x can't be negative, it would always be positive. Whereas the value of sin x would be periodically positive and periodically negative. In between 0 to pi, if you will take the first lobe, in between 0 to pi, the sin of x is going to be positive. And similarly, from pi to 2 pi, the sin of x is going to be negative. So what I am going to do over here, if you take the analysis between 0 to pi, the sin of x would be positive, and at denominator by default you would be having only positive value. So obviously the result would be positive. Result would be positive. But if you go in between pi to 2 pi, 0 to pi 2, you can say which one? Pi to, let's take 2 pi. Pi to 2 pi. Sin of x would be negative. It is getting divided with a positive value. Definitely the result would be negative. Result would be negative. So with the help of this outcome, you could have figured it out what would be the best most answer. Just try to understand in this way. May I know where the polarity of this function had got changed? In between somewhere 2 to 4. May I know where the polarity of the function had got changed? In between 0 to 2. In between 0 to 2. May I know precisely where the polarity has to change? The polarity has to change at precisely pi, or which can be approximated as 22 divided by 7. 22 divided by 7. Yes. May I know what used to be the worth of 22 divided by 7? That used to be somewhere 3.714. So may I know, would it be the precise most answer? No, as the change point has been falling in between 0 to 2, definitely 3.714 cannot fall within this range. So the best most answer what you are going to have, it's going to be somewhere here. And that is why it has been in between 6 to 8. The next change point would be in between 6 to 8. So you can write over here it has been pi. And if you'll be calculating the value of pi, definitely its worth would be in between 2 to 4. And similarly, the next change point where the function changes its polarity from negative to positive would occur at 2 pi. Obviously, the worth would be in between 6 to 8. In between 6 to 8. D has been ruled out. The best most answer is going to be this. The best most answer has been this. Could you understand? So let me see how many of us could be able to understand this. So the best most answer is gonna be option B. Option B. I would request to each one of you, tell me if this problem has been changed its structure a bit. Rather writing the function as a sine of x divided by x, the problem has been written as a sine of 2x divided by x, and again this problem has to be analyzed for all positive value of x. For all positive value of x. Tell me what would be the precise most answer. What would be the precise most answer? So may I know now the appropriate answer would be B, or the appropriate answer would change to D? Now it would change to D. Why? Because rather having sine of x, now we had sine of 2x. So if we'll be talking about the polarity in between 0 to pi by 2, polarity would be positive. Why I have taken the reference of pi by 2? Even if you'll feed the x is equals to pi by 2, 2 times of pi by 2 would make it pi. And similarly, once you'll move from pi by 2 to pi, again the polarity would change to minus. Why I have taken the reference of pi? Because this pi has to get multiplied all the way with 2. Or put together, you can say the compressedness of the signal has been taken place. The student who have study about the signal, whenever the signal gets multiplied with a certain function, definitely there used to be the compression, and once the compression takes place, even the change point which were falling in between 2 to 4 would fall within the range of 0 to 2. Best most answer what you would be having is going to be simply D. Could you understand what I am saying, each one of you? So what I am going to do over here, let me draw how this curve would look like over the 2D plane. For that, what I need to do, I need to go into the 2D plotter. Yes. The session ID has to be fed. The session ID has been 375740. The name has been Sonal. Yes, let me connect this. See how the curve would be. Let me take the reference of Desmos. Let me change the background color. The first curve which has to be drawn has to be sine x divided by x. Here goes the function. I used to pick sine over here and has to get divided with. See how the curve has been. How the curve has been. And may I know where the change point had been? You can take this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It was somewhere 3. Yes, it used to be 3.1 something. No, the change point had been at 3. And that is why they were looking for. That is what the thing they were looking for. And that is why semantically they had the option B as well as option D almost same. Semantically, they had the option B as well as option D same. Could you understand? Could you understand what I am saying? This had been sine of x divided by x. What I am going to do, I am going to draw another curve. Rather having sine of x to the x, I am going to have sine of 2x to the x. So here it goes the function had been sine. Here I am going to feed as 2 of x, and now it's getting divided with x now. With x now. You yourself would be able to understand there had been the suppression of the curve. There had been the suppression of the curve. This sine 2x divided by x had been the curve which has been drawn with the orange curve, and you yourself would be able to understand the point at which the toggle in the sine had been taken place. That has been much before earlier. That has been much before earlier, or you can say just half of the earlier. Just half of the earlier. Could you understand? So probably each one of us would have the fair amount of idea. So let me do one thing. Just a minute. Let me go back to our working board. Let me go back to our working board. So the best most answer what we are getting for sine x divided by x is simply going to be what? B. If it would have been sine 2x divided by x, it would have been option D. It would have been option D. Now in the same sequence, let me move forward. Let me move forward. We need to take the limit of mod of 10x divided by x. Many of the students would have sort of doubts, sir, so far we have not studied about the limit and all. Then why you are taking this problem? My dear friends, this problem has been the basic problem of the curve of mod of 10x divided by x. Until and unless you are not able to appreciate how the mod of 10x divided by of x would look like over the 2D plane, probably you may not be able to address this problem at all. Tell me what would be the best most answer for this given problem. So for the better understanding, let me do one thing. Let me bring this problem towards working board. Let me bring this problem towards working board. Just a minute. So I know there are two options at which you guys are going to get confused. First, the limit do not exist. Second, many of us may get the answer as infinity, many of us may get answer as minus infinity, and many of us may also get the answer as 1 also. So all possibilities are open at least for this problem, and that has been a well designed problem. So let me take this problem towards working board. So this problem have come in GATE year of 2019. The problem have appeared in chemical engineering, was framed by IIT Madras. This has been the problem. This has been the problem. Tell me what's the best most answer we would be having for this problem. Tell me. What's the best most answer you would be having for this problem? You would be having for this problem. What's the best most answer you would be having for this problem? This problem should not take more than 60 seconds. 60 seconds. Tell me what would be the best most answer. What would be the best most answer? So far, no answer. So far, no answer. Tell me what would be the best most answer. Anyways, let me focus in this way. We have seen earlier when we were discussing about the trigonometric functions and its curve. The curve of the tan of x is already been read. At x is equals to of pi by 2, the function tan of x becomes discontinuous, and even there would be a sudden change at x is equals to pi by 2. At pi by 2 minus, the worth of tan of x was reaching towards plus infinity, and similarly at pi by 2 plus, the worth of the tan of x was reaching towards minus infinity. That we have already seen. Manju is saying the answer would be infinity. We'll see that. So one thing is quite sure. the numerator had been discontinuous at x is equals to 0. But here we are not dealing with the 10 of x alone, we are going to deal with the mod of 10x divided by x. See what is happening, just try to understand this. As far as the function 10 of x divided by of x is being concerned, and now you are going to take its modulo also, no? You are going to take its modulo also. And where the study has to be made, the study has to be made at x is equals to pi by 2. So rather analyzing the complete function throughout the range of x, why don't we focus our study over the x is equals to pi by 2 itself? May I know at x is equals to of pi by 2 or around x is equals to pi by 2, how the x would behave or mod of x would behave? Obviously it would behave as a x itself, because the mod of x is being defined as plus of x for all positive value of x and similarly minus of x for all negative value of x. Till this point each and everything must be clear to all of us. Agreed? Agreed what I am saying? So what I am going to do, the analysis has been done around x is equals to of pi by 2. So mod of x would be simply treated as x itself. X itself. And here it goes, mod of 10 of x. Mod of 10 of x. Could you understand what I am saying? Mod of 10 of x. If you guys would be able to recall how the curve of 10 of x was looking around x is equals to of pi by 2. X is equals to of pi by 2. The curve was something like, let's take it has been pi by 2. It has been pi by 2. It was going towards plus infinity and similarly it was going towards minus infinity precisely at x is equals to of pi by 2. Pi by 2. So I can say at pi by 2 minus it was trying to go towards plus infinity and pi by 2 plus it was going towards minus infinity. But once you take its modulo, what happens? Do you know that? Obviously it has been a positive lobe and it has been a negative lobe. That lobe would get shifted towards upside. So as far as the 10 of x is concerned, it had been the curve around x is equals to pi by 2. But once we take its mod, the everything is going to be changed. Everything is going to be changed. May I know how the curve would be? The curve would be sort of this. The curve would be sort of this. So around x is equals to of pi by 2, mod of 10x would contain its limit, because towards the pi by 2 minus or towards the left hand limit and towards the right hand limit, the mod of 10x is reaching towards plus of infinity. Has been reaching towards plus of infinity. Could you understand what I am saying? So it has been plus of infinity without any doubt. Without any doubt. And now what is happening over here? The x has been pi by 2. Around pi by 2. Either it could be pi by 2 minus or it could be pi by 2 plus. That means a very little amount of change would take place, but lump sum we can take this as a pi by 2. So the result what we are getting now, it has been plus of infinity. It has been plus of infinity. Plus of infinity. So the best most answer what we are getting is simply gonna be plus of infinity. Plus of infinity. Yes. So for the better understanding what I would do, which we have been doing so far, let me draw this curve, how it would look like over the 2D plotter. Here goes the screen sharing. Let me feed the session ID which had been 447844. Let me connect it. Let me present my screen. Here the screen gets presented. So the curve which we had to draw over here, it has been sine 2x divided by x, that has been removed. Then that has also been removed, and here we are going to take as modulo of function 10 of x, where it had been 10 of x, yes, divided by of x, and here modulo function gets closed. Modulo function gets closed. Such a beautiful curve it has been. Deliberately I have did it so. Such a beautiful curve it has been. See, at x is equals to 0, what is happening? 10 of x, that would become 0. X, which would become 0, obviously the L'Hospital rule has to be applied, and once you will take its differentiation, it will become sec square x. Towards the denominator side, it will become 1, and once you will be feeding x is equals to 0, the magnitude would become 1. Magnitude would become 1. That is quite sure. That is quite sure. May I know which value it has been? It has been pi by 2. It has been pi by 2, somewhere 1.5, somewhere 1.5. So if you really wants to see how the curve has been, so around pi by 2, which has been 1.5, the curve was tending towards infinity. Either you take the reference of left hand limit, either you take the reference of right hand limit. Similarly, if the same calculation would have been made at x is equals to of minus pi by 2, the answer would have been very same. Answer would have been very same. Yes, and this has been x is equals to a pi. At x is equals to a pi, definitely the answer is gonna be 0. definitely answer is going to be 0. Till this point, each and everything must be clear to all of us. Tell me, is it clear? Is it clear? Let me go back into the working board. Here goes the working board. So how many of us could get the exact most answer? Sir, how to check the differentiability and continuity? My dear friends, the differentiability as well as continuity had been the different topic or different chapter. We have not been reached to that topic or chapter. So obviously you have to be patient a bit. We are going to come on that also. We are going to come on that also. In the same sequence, let me take one more number of problem. How we will reach to that? It has been a PDF. It has been a PDF. I need to get the best most answer for the option 6 question. I need to get the best most answer for the 6th question. It would be homework for you guys. I would start from the 5th as well as 6th question from tomorrow onwards. But still I would expect that you guys must be able to give the proper most answer for the option 6 as well as option 7, option 5 as well as option 6. So I would expect from each one of you, whatever the answer you are getting for the option, whatever the answer you are getting for 6, no, you must be commenting over the comment box. So I'll have the fair idea that you guys are able to crack the problem related to the inequalities or not. And you should also be focusing over the differentiation of mod of x cube. You should also be doing a sort of homework where the differentiation of mod of x cube has to be taken. Its first derivative. Once you are able to calculate its first derivative, should also be calculating its second derivative. Once you're done with this, you should also be calculating its third derivative. This would be your homework. Anyways, this would be the agenda of today's class. I would expect at least 4 to 5 number of comments where you would be giving the appropriate most answer, where the option C, for the question number 6. And probably in tomorrow class, we are going to take this question number 5 as well as question number 6, and we would move into the next topic. So this is all about today's video. And from tomorrow onwards, we would start probably the next topic or the core topic of the engineering mathematics. Till then, bye-bye, take care and good night. Yes, I expect this answer, the answer of the question number 6 over the comment box. Till then, bye-bye, take care, good night.